Alright, today we're going to talk about recording off the grid, and I don't mean powering your studio with cow queefs. I'm talking about no click track, baby. We all know real men get by the pulse of their throbbing hearts, okay? And when you're playing something, and you're just going with the feel, and feeling it inside you, to me, that's where the magic happens, especially if you're in a live band setting, and you're a drummer like me, and you're locked in with the other members of the band, man, nothing is going to beat that, okay? And even in situations where I am recording all the instrumentation myself, it's just a strictly overdubbed session, I still stay clear from a click track. I just like the natural feel and emotion. Now, I'm not going to spend too much of this video talking about that. I already have two previous videos where I ramble on and stroke my ego talking about that topic. I'll link it somewhere if you want to watch that first. But I think today's video is actually going to be really fun and interesting, and it's actually going to be an interactive YouTube video. You're going to be able to interact with this video. It might be the first ever, probably not, but let's just say this is the first interactive YouTube video. Now, you're going to need a pair of headphones. You could use earbuds, basically any device where you could isolate the separate left and right channels of the audio. It's going to be really important for the interactive portion, but if you don't have access to that, this video will still make sense, but that just makes it a little more fun. I gotta look at my idiot sheet. I'm rambling. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the song we're going to be dissecting today like surgeons, and believe it or not, this is the first song I have written and recorded in about 2 years, which is pretty crazy. I just had an insane case of writer's block. Still do. But this video's not about that. Today, we're just going to talk about the song. And I did a few things, both while songwriting and recording the song, that I specifically tailored for the idea of this video. And that's not the whole purpose of the song. You know, I spent a lot of mental time writing and recording the song. And let's just go through the things that I purposely did so you could look out for them when I play the song. Okay. Alright, look at the list. So the first thing I did was, when I wrote this song, I made sure that there was going to be some tempo fluctuations. And I would say I did some medium-sized tempo fluctuations throughout the song. I started at about, keep in mind, you know, when I'm writing and recording this, I'm not thinking about BPMs, but I measured after the fact. I started at about 130 BPM for the intro. Then when I go into the verse kicks in, it's 140 BPM. Then the transition from the verse to the chorus is a pretty significant temperature fluctuation, and I do it in one fell swoop, where the verse basically goes like this, and slows down into the chorus. I go from 140 BPM to 85 BPM. That's a pretty big swing, and not easy to time. The chorus is in 85 BPM. When the verse comes back in, 140 BPM about again. Chorus, once again, slow down to 85 BPM. And then for the outro of the song, I go from 80, somewhere around there, BPM, and I ramp it up to 150 BPM for the ending. So, you know, some pretty big temperature fluctuations to really drive home the point I'm trying to make here, that, you know, being constrained by one single tempo is just really can put you in such a creative box that I just don't like at all. Especially when the type of songs I try to write, I always have like Paradise by the Dashboard Light in my head of something I'm trying to record. I always try to have a story of some sort, and tempo fluctuations are a great way to really carry your listener through different moods and different themes, you know what I'm saying? So like, I hate just having one tempo, so that's why. Let's move on. The second thing I did was write a couple areas of no instrumentation in the song. Us musicians call that rests. And basically, at the end of these rests, the whole band comes in on the same beat at the same time, obviously. And really, you're going to start to see how powerful your scratch track is going to become, something that we will get into in a second. You know, as long as you have a good scratch track to base everything off of, you know, you're able to keep time through any part of a song that you're writing, even when there's no instrumentation. So that was the second thing I did. Let's move on. The third thing I did was I wanted to write a big rock and roll ending. I don't know what the term is. You know, at like the end of a song where it's like, and then the whole band ends on the same note at the same time, and it's like not dependent on a beat. It's just, you know, when you're in a live setting, everyone's looking at the drummer and you know, going down when he crashes the cymbal, like that type of live band feel. I always like to end that to the end of my songs when I can. I don't know. I like it. It gives the illusion of a live band. So at the end of the song, you're going to see, you know, that type of ending, whatever you call it, trash can ending or something. I don't know. You get the idea. The fourth and final thing I wanted to touch upon for this song was I wanted to leave a majority of the songwriting to after I record the initial scratch guitar track that all the instrumentation is going to follow. Now, usually when I start a song, I like to have like 50 to 75% of the song already figured out in my head. And I like that extra like 25% to just happen naturally, and as I experiment and try different things, I really enjoy that type of recording. For this, I maybe went in it with like 20, maybe 30% of the song written out. You know, I had some rough lyrics. I knew what I was going to do on the guitar for the most part. The only thing that stayed the same from when I first wrote the song to when I finished it was the chorus lyrics. That's really it. Everything else went through significant changes, and I really wasn't planning for that, but it really just goes to show you the strength of the scratch track, and you're almost creating an artificial grid with your initial scratch track that once that's done and the tempo is rock steady, you can change your song at will. And you'll see in one instance, I actually changed the chords to the second chorus on one part, and I just power through it with the scratch track. So you're really going to see how important that is. Now, all these things that I want to demonstrate, the tempo fluctuations, the measures of rest, the rock and roll ending, and the artificial grid, it's all going to be done through the use of a measly scratch guitar track. And I already talked about the you know, what a scratch track really is and its strengths in the previous videos that I'll link somewhere down below. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it doesn't have to be a guitar. It can be any instrumentation. My phone's beeping, I'm sorry. Piano is a great, another great instrumentation to do a scratch track because it really can be the driving force of a song. And the interactive part of this video is the final mix of the song is going to be summed down in mono and sent to the left channel in the video. And the scratch track, the original scratch track I based everything off of, is going to be on the right channel of the headphones. And while you're listening, you know, you should be able to take them off at will and listen to both at the same time and kind of compare, and you'll see a couple interesting things that, you know, I want you to look out for. Before we listen to the interactive example here, I want to point out a couple things so that when you listen along, you'll be able to, you know, learn a couple things. So the first thing is that you're not going to see it on the camera, but I'm tapping my left foot along the whole time while I'm recording that scratch track. My right hand is not actually doing the timing for the scratch track. My right hand is following my left foot, and I really cannot, you know, stress the importance of developing that skill of tapping your left foot consistently without big tempo swings. It's really crucial for this whole method to work. If you can't do that, you need to practice that when you're playing guitar. And I'm also going to be singing at some points and speaking out loud. You're not going to be able to hear it. That's strictly because I get lost in the song if I don't sing along the lyrics or count down the bars to the next section. So that's what I'm doing, and just doing it out loud, you know, so I don't lose my track. The second thing is I want you to look at all of the count-ins for the song. There's a total of 6 different count-ins for the song, which is, you know, pretty unusual for a song. And you'll hear me with the guitar track, you know, counting down for the instrumentation to come back in. That's when I talk about those measures of rest. You know, before the band comes in, it's, you know what I mean? I'm counting it out. The second thing is, pay attention to the drum track. The drum track is just as important as the scratch track. All of your instrumentation, once you record that drum track, should be based upon the drum track and not necessarily the scratch track. The drum track is everything. If you have a good drummer, he'll be able to really flatten out the wrinkles in your tempo fluctuations while you're playing guitar or piano. You know, it's a lot easier to keep time on drums, so the drums can really smooth out temperature. I keep saying that, god damn it. But anyway, just, you'll hear a couple times where the scratch track goes a little out of tempo, a very minor amount. And that's because all the instrumentation is actually based upon the drum track. The scratch track is just there to give me cues when I'm doing the overdubs, when, you know, specific parts come in. I want you to pay close attention to what I called the choruses. I don't know what they are, but they're synth-driven. And there is a guitar part, but it's different than what I'm playing on the scratch track. And really, the song to me is, they're more a synth part of the song. Like, it's not guitar driven there. So really just showing you as well that just because your scratch track is the guitar doesn't mean like this is like the lead instrument. You know, it's really just there for the structure, and you could write more complicated, more interesting parts off that scratch track. In fact, it's, you know, sometimes easier, as you'll see me do in the chorus. I'm just playing quarter notes for the chord changes, just to keep the timing super simple. And you know, the real guitar track is more, I think I'm like picking, you know what I mean? So like that scratch track, sometimes if you're just on the beat, that's all you need to write the rest. When I get to the beginning of the second chorus, you're also going to notice an extreme amount of dissonance. And that's because I completely rewrote the synth part for that first part of the second chorus, where it's completely different chord changes than the scratch track. And once again, just demonstrating that you could really do whatever you need as long as the tempo is correct. You could change the complete chord progressions of your songs if you need to. Obviously not ideal, makes it really difficult to re-record over a different chord change, but I didn't plan on that, and it was difficult, but it's doable. Okay? I don't know. Let's just listen, alright?
Baxter was a necktie-wearing, shoe-shine-bearing, absent-minded floorboard, helplessly ignored. His pathetic musing of an existence consisted of shifting, drifting, and pleading for a life of more. At night he lie awake, belly up on the fire escape, peering up at the stars, questioning God, why? God would not answer. Instead, silence echoed through the apartment. This caused Baxter to ritualistically ponder, where is my mind?
Laughing through her teeth, she made a face, a smile. Someone to call her mine. She only wears old perfume once it goes out of style. Someone to call her mine. She keeps her shoelaces loose, but her lips a little looser. Someone to call her mine. Her tongue is cold as ice, so you cannot refuse her. Someone to call her mine. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my Slipping through narrow windows at night, the alcohol ends in a light. Sitting on a fire till 3, just to laugh and enjoy each other's company.
That girl can suck down a cigarette faster than she can ash it. Then she'll wash it down with a cheap bottle of wine and a half a tube of chapstick. She likes to recite poetry blithely through her dial tone as she curls the figures through the cord of her Ferrari red phone.
Someone to call her mine.
what did we think? What did we think of the end result? I know it's kind of hard to listen to it with, like, it's summed to mono in one ear. So I'll link the song somewhere below on an unlisted video. I was trying to save that for, like, an official release. I don't even think I'm really done with that song. I haven't mastered it or anything, so I'll just put it down below as an unlisted video just for you to get a full context of what the song sounds like. And honestly, I would really like your opinion on the song. Like I said, it's my first song I've recorded in 2 years since The Count, and I've just been so in my head about my songwriting, and I'm not sure if I like the song yet, and I was kind of curious what you guys think about it. What else? Oh my god, this video, not good. Not good. And in general, I'm just kind of curious what you guys think about this process of recording. Do you think it's stupid? Is it the only way you record? What do you think? You like a hybrid setup? I don't know. Just yell me below. I like to argue. It's all in good nature. So, one thing I really think I should mention as well is whenever you do that scratch track, you better be damn sure it's good enough, because I wasted a whole week with a scratch track on guitar that I recorded drums, bass, the other guitars, the synth, and the choruses were just, the tempo was just all over the place, and I realized, like, shit, I should have re-recorded this initially, and I wasted a whole week doing that. And then I did a second one, and the choruses were a little too fast, and I spent, like, a couple hours on that. Then I did that final scratch track that was the final one that you heard. So just make sure, if you have any doubts, which I had about the first one, listen to your stomach. If it doesn't feel right, re-record the scratch guitar track again. All right. That's enough. I need to eat. I'm delirious. These videos are a mess. Yep. Never have anything witty to say, huh?
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Snozberries? Who ever heard of a snozberry?
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.